Hi guys, welcome to our pop-up live stream covering a special release by Cyberpunk. Um, it is November 17, 2020, and my name is Moontag, and I'm here as always with Sibsidding and Ashinidi. How are you guys?
Hey, very good. Very good. Yeah, so this caught us by surprise. A special edition of Night City Wire happened this morning. It was just a video they put up. I'm not even sure if they live streamed it or not, but it was fully up when I was alerted to it by folks in our Discord community. And yeah, very cool stuff. We see footage from the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series, or sorry, no, just the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One X. So we're going to see two generations of console footage today, and they both look very impressive.
Mm-hmm. This was done to quell a lot of the rumors that it wasn't going to be running on the current gen systems, and even when we talked about the potential of most likely being the problem why they had to delay being an emergency parachute for reasons of that, we never said that it's not going to run on those consoles. We said that for whatever reason they couldn't run it on those consoles most likely, and that was most likely the reason for the delay. That doesn't mean that it's going to ship broken. Like that's clearly what they were avoiding by doing that. And again, in gaming, all it takes is a single letter in your code that's not supposed to be there, and the game goes from working to not working.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Ren Sten, you didn't miss the scheduled Night City Wire that was supposed to
no,
happen on
no.
Thursday. This is a surprise one that they did. It's a special edition where they were
Mm-hmm.
looking at footage from or they were showcasing footage from the Xbox Series X as well as the Xbox One X. They were just sorry that buzzing. I'm gonna move the phone way over there so that stops happening. My normal phone busted the other day, so I'm borrowing my wife's old one until I get a new one. And it's really weird. It's really weird. I'm so used to Android now. Going back to an iPhone is just like speaking a foreign language. Okay. Anyway, yeah. The So this was a surprise special edition of Night City Wire that took place this morning. There still is the Night City Wire number 5 happening on Thursday, as far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the other thing about this is we're seeing brand new gameplay. We're seeing like content from the game that we have never seen before, and so that's really exciting. And we're gonna go through it here. It's only about 10 minutes long. We're going to look at the visuals, and it was really interesting. They went through an entire quest, but they cut out anything that involved spoilers. So we're going to see more generic gameplay stuff that's taking place during a quest, but it doesn't really reveal much about what's actually going on as far as the story. So that's kind of interesting. So they're really trying to keep a lid on spoilers. And yeah, anything more before we uh, just start going through the footage here?
For anybody who's worried about major in-game spoilers, and you're avoiding this kind of stuff, that's fair. And if you want to avoid it, 100%, totally understand why you're doing it. However, I do have I did kind of look at it, and I kind of felt my way along, and I would say that there isn't too much in the spoiler territory other than like just general like NPC interaction. Uh, but as far as like storyline, if you want to avoid it, then stop watching about halfway through this stuff. It's the first little bit is kind of the first like 50% of it is pretty decent and has a lot of like just general interactions that are not necessarily like spoilery. The last half of it may have something that may ruin your aspect or your perception of this particular quest. So just a warning to anybody who's really trying to avoid spoilers for like major spoilers of particular missions and stuff like that. Don't watch about 50%, like the rest of the half of it. Everything else before that is it's like a really decent trailer. It's like a decent early tasting. So it's not actually like, spoilery. You get to see some characters, and more importantly, you get to see how the game is operating. Past that, you might not want to check out the end of the video. Mhm. And again, it's not.
Sorry, I
super
was
heavy.
muted there. I
Some
said
people-
we're gonna give you a spoiler warning before we hit that part of the video. The Islington girl says no PlayStation though. Does that mean anything? Not necessarily. CDPR has been very, like, they've been partnering with Xbox for years, so it's no surprise really that they would do an Xbox special. I mean, they did their big reveal trailer in 2018. Of course, came as part of the Xbox showcase at E3, and they've really buddied up with Xbox. I mean, I don't, I wouldn't read too much into it that this isn't the PlayStation one. I mean, maybe there's a PlayStation 1 coming, or maybe this is just part of their marketing deal with Xbox.
I have to point this out. Out of between the two old consoles, the Xbox One is a little bit more powerful. And in all honesty, probably was just a smoother experience by a very small amount. And the fact that they have a very close working relationship with Microsoft means that it was probably the go-to one. Right now, they do not have a very close, cozy relationship with Sony. Sony has been, and this isn't due to them. This is just generally in the realm of like um, big the big companies of the consoles trying to like cozy up to certain people. Um, Sony has been cozying up to far less people than they have in the past, and there's speculation and reasons for why that is. But they don't go out of their way to please any developer. In fact, as we've reported numerous times here, they've gone out of their way to cause a lot of headache to a lot of developers for, as of yet, unknown reasons. Like, again, we can guess, but as to exact policy, we have no idea why. And this is, it's just really, really weird. It is really weird. Also, I'm going to tease this now because we may not be able to get, like I said, some people are probably going to drop off. So I'm going to tease this now. On Wednesday, we're going to be talking about a potential merger of one of the biggest game companies in Japan with, well, not merger, being bought out by Microsoft. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. I meant to talk about this on Saturday, and we didn't have time with what we were covering with Cyberpunk Red. But yes, huge story. It's now starting to peak up more and more places. So we're gonna dive into that on Wednesday because, well, unless some other major news happens that completely takes up the time, but I think this is going to be pretty big. Right now, it's very much rumor. There's no official sources on this, but we've been hearing rumors and more rumors on this, so we want to kind of cover this now. So,
all right, sounds good. Neon Arcade in the chat, shout out.
Hi, Neon.
Says they said they will show PS4 gameplay before release. In the media release today. Okay, well, thanks for that. That's good to know. This makes me wonder what they're going to show on Thursday with the Night City Wire major event number 5, because they could have just put this as part of that, but instead they have this as a special event. So they must have a packed show for Thursday. So that's exciting.
And a little bit of speculation here, just kind of continuing on from what we talked about before. It could be that the reason why they showed the Xbox One first is because that one has been proofed and is working 100% right now, and that delay, one of the big reasons that we have been speculating the delay was that there was one particular console that was having a lot of issues with that shipped version of the game, and they had to go back and completely redo those. And if that is true, then why would we be seeing the Xbox One first? Is because the Xbox One was working. The PlayStation One was the one that was not working, and therefore, instead of alienating, 30% of their fans, they decided to, just delay everything and then put it all out at the same time, which would make sense. And I think there probably is some legal reasons for that as well. I don't think that they could have walked away from that and said, "Oh, we'll launch the, we'll launch XCult, or we'll launch the console version, B 2 months after we launch A and C," right? So that's kind of how that goes, I think. But this does again lend credence to the fact that I think right now they don't like they're still working on that, and that is probably it's probably getting done like pretty soon, and then we'll have that working version, and then we're going to be able to see that working version in when it launches. So
all right, let's get to some of the footage here. Cyber Moon, I've got my screen shared with you guys so that we can all sync up to the same point in the video, and of course it'll be live streamed on your screens if you're watching us live on YouTube or after the fact. Welcome. Slam that like button if you haven't already. Of course, we really appreciate that. And yeah, so let's go here.
Hello and welcome to a special Night City Wire video that we've had a lot of requests for. With Cyberpunk 2077 now launching on December 10th, a few of you have been waiting to see the game running on console. So we've teamed up with our friends at Xbox to bring you Xbox One X and Xbox Series X gameplay. The gameplay footage starts with a questline called Automatic Love, where V is attempting to hunt down a missing person via any means necessary. Now, in the interest of time, and to avoid spoilers, we have edited this footage, but it does mean that you'll still have...
Okay, so this is Holly introducing kind of what I said before, that there's going to be... they're cutting out all of the story spoiler stuff. And you can see in the top left corner there which console we're seeing at the time, Xbox One X or Xbox Series X. I'm just going to double check here that I've got it. Yeah, it's running at 1080.
yeah.
Forget Evelyn. Admit it. This is about
everything's
Judy's
really
virtues,
smooth,
isn't it?
and
Good
again,
shit, if
it's
I say
the
so
visual
myself.
the visual
Nobody can hold a candle to Judy.
the
Cuts virtues like they were
lifelikeness of
diamonds.
the characters
Damn
is
straight.
really well done.
Yeah, when it comes to their movements and things like that. By the way, if either of you want me to pause it at any point, just let me know. So many purple cars, yeah.
Right.
So right now we're watching some driving footage on the Xbox Series X, and what I've really noticed about all the footage, and there's a really good example of this happening in a little bit here, it's actually pretty hard to tell without looking at the label which console it's running on. I don't know if this is coming across in the stream, but
Wakako Akai,
when
the Lady of West.
let's hear Wakako
When
talking.
you find a moment, come see me. We must settle our accounts for Sandra Dorset. You did quite well. You and that friend of yours. Until then.
Very cool. So yeah, I'm actually just going to pause it here quickly. So the I don't know if this comes across in the live stream, and of course, even on the if you watch it directly on CD Projekt Red's YouTube channel, it's been compressed for YouTube, etc. The only real difference is they're not obviously there's no ray tracing in the Xbox One X footage, and so the reflections are a little blurrier or a little less defined. I mean, they still look pretty good, but it's less defined. The lighting is just slightly less good, and then the frame rate is just a little lower. It seems like the frame rate is lower and the visuals are just slightly less crisp. But honestly, it's barely noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Cross Raven says different frame rates footage. Yeah, like the frame rate is the most noticeable thing the most noticeable difference I could tell between the two versions, the Series X and the One X. Other than that, like the Xbox One X footage still looks amazing. Now, I had someone in the chat earlier mentioned that they have an OG Xbox One, and I unfortunately we don't get to see how it looks on the Xbox One original. We do see the Xbox One X only, but it will run on the Xbox One. We just don't know, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. The Islington girl loving the purple cars. That's awesome.
Yes, same. Me too. That's one of my favorite colors.
Okay. And Cyb was a little quiet, so I'm just going to turn him up a tiny bit here so we can hear you if you talk over the footage. Okay.
Way I see it, only thing
Johnny.
is getting off or getting off. Place your bets.
Have a good look at Keanu Reeves' Johnny Silverhand. So you'll see him glitching in at random points.
Braindance chick is hiding something. No coincidence we already saw 2 tiger claws. They must control the building.
I think Judy's lying. Why?
Little something called intuition, V. Ever heard of it?
Oh, so what you meant to say was you're full of shit. Got it.
It's gonna be some fun banter between V and Johnny, obviously.
And you had mentioned earlier to me privately that Johnny's acting here for somebody who's just kind of looking at it on the rough shot, appears to be kind of not as lively. That's definitely his character, and he was definitely typecasted for this role. It really is his normal acting style, and it really, I honestly think it fits for a guy who's rock star who is he's not really that deep into the philosophical or the emotional side. He's kind of like pretty much every rock star I've ever met, except for one. So,
Ladies' man says, "Don't be mean to Johnny." Well,
I'm not.
Johnny's going to be. Johnny,
some people will find him a little dry, but that's actually typecast, and I think we're going to see that passion come out in him later on when he cares about actual things that are important to him. Right now, he doesn't really care about this stuff that's kind of going on around you. He cares because he's obviously got a vested interest in things, but he's not emotionally and personally invested in these stories, not yet. And I still think this is pretty early on. So
yeah,
I wanted to mention that.
I paused it here because holy crap, the lighting in this scene.
Right?
I love this. This room is amazing.
This scene was built for ray tracing, and you can see they're just the glowy balloons or bulbs, whatever they are, on the ceiling. So many light sources.
Those are balloons. I thought those were...
those are balloon lights.
Okay, yeah. I was trying to figure out how they got...
Bubbles on the ceiling.
Never mind. I'm good. I'm good now. I know what they are now. Yep. Of course they're balloons. Yes, of course.
It's you can look up and pretend you're looking at a bubble bath.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Cyb was picturing something.
That's
much
exactly
dirtier.
what I was thinking about.
Islington girl says, "I wish I could have those stools at the bar IRL." I know, right?
Yes.
They're very cool. I don't know how comfortable they'd be to sit on long term, but they look actually fairly ergonomic.
Mm-hmm.
But the reflective surfaces here, this scene, I think they picked this to just showcase the lighting.
Yeah, look at the shine on the fabric in that couch.
Yeah.
And it's even got the shape of it. If you look at that one seat there, G.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very cool. Very cool. So, now the neat thing is the lighting without the ray tracing is not bad, but you get one of the things you do get is that that sharper contrast between the darks, the shadowed parts of the room and the lit parts of the room. You get a much sharper contrast that just looks more realistic with the ray tracing on.
You know what? We were talking about redoing your studio. What if we did your studio like this?
With the glowing balloons everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, there's a comment from Nicoro Tondo. They simulate clouds, like the name of that club. I actually didn't catch the name of the club. I was so blown away by all the scenery. But yeah, no, they totally get that effect.
I think the club is called Clouds. Like, I think that's, if I'm not mistaken, there is a place, they do go somewhere called Clouds in this footage. So,
Oh, and perhaps I might be crazy, but at this particular angle, I do say I believe there's three S's right there. Oh yes. Oh, I wonder what that could mean.
well, I see
Probably
5, but
doesn't mean
okay.
what I hope it means, but yeah. Well, I mean, if you're looking at it like from a particular angle, and then you're kind of closing your right eye a little bit, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know that it's an Easter egg the same way that it was in Cyberpunk Red. We actually got an Easter egg in Cyberpunk
Yes.
Red. That was very cool.
We are in Cyberpunk Red in the official book now. Woohoo!
So shout out to our Talsorian Games there.
Yes.
Pick it up and let me know if you find it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, the 3 S's. That is cool. We might be able to do something with that. Here, I'm going to continue with the footage here, but I'm just mesmerized. I just love what they're doing with lighting. Although I will be turning off all of the lens flare. Like, I find it a bit much.
Hi.
Oh, this is funny.
I think something might have gone wrong here. Not really sure. Don't have your details? Sorry, no idea what I'm supposed to do. Yeah, I have that bike. I know it.
I don't know what they talk about after that, but they probably cut it out for spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
But this, oh, the screen's there. Look at that. So, okay, so we're leaving.
Okay, I definitely want floor lighted furniture. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yes.
is something I need.
Go into the boss's office.
Wait, no clients allowed in here. Well, dear, close the door on the way out, would ya?
What is that?
As you can see,
He's got a burger or
I'm very
something.
busy.
Right, but I was wondering, what is that zoom in thing that keeps happening? It's very cool because it mimics an actual camera zoom. But yeah.
I wonder if your character has like the cybernetic integration already.
Yeah, you have the cybernetic eye, and it's just doing things that like that. So
Neat. All right, so it's glitching here. So now I think we're transferring over. Yes, now we're on the Xbox One X. Somebody asked.
right back at you. This is the
More
by
katana.
the way, that was the achievement that I was talking about
Yeah.
yesterday that we mentioned publicly because, well, obviously it was going to be kind of shown off here. So
Yeah. So someone had asked me to turn up the volume for that combat sequence for the sounds, and yes, they were very good.
feels really, really solid.
Years of practice. You can see it. Are we still going somewhere?
Oh,
All the street
I love
conversations.
that glow
too.
on her.
Yeah. Now this is where, in a sec here, so we're walking down this awesome looking street with the puddles on the ground. You see the reflections. You see, like, it looks super dope. In a second here, we're going to be in the same location, but on Xbox One X. And so this is where we can really see the difference between the two consoles. And again, I don't know if it's going to come across on the stream or not. But if you go to the video, it's at about 6 minutes 30 to 6 minutes 40, where you can see the transition. So look at the reflections here, look at the crispness of everything, and I'll pause it right after the transition. So you can see reflections, not quite as crisp, but they're still there. And quite honestly, this still looks really good.
It still works, yeah.
The neon lights, they just look slightly not as crisp. not quite as sharp, but I mean, again, looks really good. And if it didn't have the YouTube compression, I'm sure this would look fantastic still. And then, not sure if you can tell, but like, yeah, the frame rate does seem slightly slower, and it just looks slightly blurrier overall.
Yeah, somebody was complaining about YouTube compression again from the studio, saying why is it so hard? And I really hope that it's like, I really hope we don't have the same problem when we're actually making videos for the game.
Well, I mean, it's somewhat unavoidable, but because they have to compress it for YouTube to work at all until we have, you know, much faster connections. But anyway, still looks great. Xbox One X still looks fantastic. Here's another combat bit coming up here. Here, I'm gonna. Here's Jeremy's voice acting. Let's listen to this.
And you just the cutest thing. If you're looking for a release, I just might be your man.
Kindly get the fuck out of my way.
Yo, you hear what this bitch said to me? Best watch your tongue.
I'd say it again, but what for? Your little skull sponge can't possibly get its gray cells around it.
Three and one.
I'm more than a chop doc. See, I know what people truly want. To be flattered, praised, patted. To feel like they deserve it. Of course. I can't remember each and every one. Even if it's a specimen as exquisite as you.
Now we're in we are in a brain dance sequence now.
Yeah.
And so
this is brain dance. Again, this is where you might consider this a little spoilery, because you're obviously seeing something that is going to happen to someone, and you'll probably figure this out.
So yeah, it's basically so. Yeah, you're watching this recording, and you're gonna go and figure out. You know, you're supposed to figure out where the brain dance was recorded. You see that in the top left there. So, yeah, that's pretty much all the footage. I don't think there was anything else at the end there. Yeah, and then it cuts back to Holly talking about it. So, Islington Girl says this part is kind of terrifying. Yeah, it was disturbing to watch, actually. That's part of why I'm not showing it right now. It was actually.
This is the other reason why I do worry about the first person, third person thing. Because it's one thing to watch a character, you know, get tortured or something like that, or bad things happen to them from a third person perspective. But when you put it like so vividly as in this first person perspective, that is rough. I mean, you really do see that. And again, I'm not hassling them for this. I just simply wish that they would have included, you know, an option to kind of go back and forth between, because there are some people who just are absolutely terrified of seeing something like this. You know, it can be very, you know, quote unquote triggering, because again, they're putting it in that perspective of you know, being that the receiver of you know, of a violent act thingy, and that's kind of tough. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want to, like, you know, call wolf on something, but just it is a little concerning, and I wish that they had included that, because again, a lot of people would be able to get through this. This is, you know, it's like people who you know, they have a phobia of spiders, and so you can you know, have those, you know, when you're playing fantasy games and you don't want to fight a giant spider, there's some mods for that.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, with the brain dance, you actually can pull out into I mean, you're still first person, but you can pull out of the character and float around freely once you're in edit mode of the brain dance. Now, I don't know if you're locked into first person the first time you watch the brain dance recording. That might be the case. But then after that, you'll be able to remove yourself from that first person perspective and look around in the scene, as we saw in the earlier Night City Wire. Gaming tonight. Why was V dragged into the brain dance chair and forced to watch a brain dance that the quest says she has to see? Forced? I didn't see where V was forced into the brain dance chair, but we don't know anything about the story of this quest. But this is V watching somebody else being dragged into a chair, and something bad happening to them. And then V is later watching that brain dance recording and is going to investigate, try to figure out where it took place. All right, a couple other things. Noah says, is this really compressed? Looks super blurry. Maybe it's because I'm on 1440p and this is 1080p. Absolutely, it has to do with the resolution of the YouTube video is 1080p. We're streaming at 1080p. This is being restreamed from another YouTube video, so you've got streaming compression on top of YouTube compression. Plus, there's a slight difference between the Xbox. If you're looking at the Xbox One X versus let me find a shot of the Series X. Actually, this shot looks pretty good here too. That's still the One X. But if we're on the Xbox Series X is slightly crisper. So some of that has to do with the original footage. And I don't know what the original recording resolution was for these, but they put it out at 1080p in the YouTube video. All right, let's see. Islington Girl. It looked almost like forced cyberpsychosis at the end. Yeah, maybe being soul killed. Potentially. Yeah, we'll just have to wait for the game to come out to find out for sure. Ali Mafu says, "Do not mess with female V. I see how NPCs react to gender as well. That's a great insight." Yep. And yeah, lots of purple. Let's see what else. Alexander Panic says Xbox Series X version does not have ray tracing. It's not yet on next-gen consoles. Coming next year. So they don't have any. They have. I think they're using bounce lighting of some kind. I mean, you may be right that they're not utilizing the ray tracing yet. I'll have to go look back at that. I'll have to go. I'll have to do some digging into that.
I was going to mention earlier, but they've confirmed now that again there's going to be a free upgrade coming for the new console soon.
Yeah,
and that this will be coming down the line.
Okay. Okay, I thought they had. Yeah, again, I thought they had implemented some sort of ray tracing, but potentially I could be wrong about that. But anyway, the lighting does look. It looks great. It looks great on the next gen console. Let's see. Right click, drop down. Triple S League, or asks Triple S League overall thoughts. I think every new bit I see of this game just makes me think that it's going to be amazing. Like it's like I can't wait to get my hands on it. I keep thinking they can't impress me anymore. And this, like, they didn't. It's not like they showed anything spectacular here, but just there was that shot at the beginning where you're looking up at the skyscraper. It's just in the sunlight, and then just walking down the streets here. And by the way, somebody was asking about why the streets don't look all that crowded. Well, I mean, it is nighttime here, so the streets are certain parts of the streets are actually this part of the street you would think maybe would be more crowded at night. But it's going to vary depending on time of day, where you are in the city, that kind of a thing. What the weather's like. Looks like it just finished raining, so that might affect it. Could there be technical limitations there? I don't know. What do you think, Cyb? Do you think... Is there a technical...
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some technical limitations, and there are some things that, I mean, again, we see this with games that come out on new console devices that manage to be around for a really long time. There is a lot of room for upgrade, an enormous amount of room for upgrade and optimization and implementation of new systems. I don't know how many of these will be on the old consoles, but the new consoles, they have room to grow plus. So we really hope to see that we not only get the ray tracing, but we get improved ray tracing. We get improved shaders and graphics and all that kind of stuff. Again, we're modders. Check out some of our mods for Fallout 4. But we get into these games, and there are ways that the company can improve and react to the visual system within the game and make it hundreds, if not many dozens, if not hundreds of times more better than what they are. And you can see this in one of the best examples is all of the different kinds of EMBs that you have for Skyrim. You can make Skyrim look like Dark Souls. You can make it look like a super like Candyland, and everything in between those two things. In between those two examples, you can do so much more, and we're going to see that with Cyberpunk. We're going to see this gradual and this beautiful evolution of this going forward. So yeah, I'm thinking that we're going to probably have a significant room to upgrade over the next few years.
All right, and Moontag, what are your overall thoughts?
I'm super excited for the dialogue and just exploring the map in general, because like you mentioned earlier, just like even overhearing the random conversations or seeing the interactions between V and Johnny, right? Like that, I'm so excited to see like what other kind of stuff they've put in there between the characters, and like especially the random conversations. Those are like one of my favorite ones, because like you never know what you're going to overhear, right? Whether it's like relating to the story or like a separate thing on itself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It blows my mind how much voice acting went into this. It's kind of unbelievable. Mm-hmm. The thing with Johnny kind of glitching in and out, I think, is really good. So he's not necessarily always going to be there.
Well, and here's a quick thing. People complained about how they saw Johnny in the first couple of times, and since then he's been definitely livened up and brought back out. Just a thought, because I don't think this has been officially confirmed. It could be that he gets more real, like the deeper into the story you get, and that the early versions of Johnny that you see are, very Jedi Knight Ghost or Force Ghost. Force Ghost, like on purpose. So I don't know. We might see some there. I don't know. This is total speculation on my part. So if you guys have a theory about that, please put your theory down in the comments about whether or not how that evolution of Johnny and exactly how he's going to evolve with the player, how that's going to work. Let me know, because I'm curious to see what people are thinking about this.
All right.
I like this guy. He's just chilling on the bed, just giving himself a nice self hug. It's like, oh, nice. And then he's wearing what appears to be like a suit jacket with suit jacket shorts. I gotta tell you, it's been a while since I've seen suit jacket shorts, and yeah, they're not growing on me at all. No, still not growing on me. By the way, floor lighting. Yes, this is a must. We have to do this. We have to do this. This is I'm loving this everywhere.
So, Ladies Man is asking, what is a PKG file concerning the 4chan leak? I mean, a PKG file, sounds like that stands for package or something. But, it could be, if you're downloading it from 4chan, who knows what the hell it is, right?
Don't don't download anything from 4chan if you are not a very, very like avid user of files and viruses and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. Don't download stuff. I'm not saying that 4chan is a bad place, but it's not a place that you should trust necessarily. So it's like any place online. You want to be very careful, obviously.
Discerning.
Yeah. Right click. Sorry, I keep flubbing your name. Right click drop down says, how do you feel about the adult type of atmosphere that the game is going for it? I mean, some moaning randomly coming from some apartment while you walk down an alley.
Wait a second.
What?
This isn't normal?
Well, it's it's the type of game it is. It fits the theme, like, and I mean here specifically.
Of downtown, it looks like, right?
And this is again,
like you see right there, it says, it's a big neon sign that says sex shop. Like that's where you are in the city. I don't think that'll be happening everywhere you go, but in this part of the map.
Exactly.
So this is a reminder again. Like places like this exist in real life. There's some terrible places in real life that are nightmarish. But this is a reminder of like what things can become like. And so cyberpunk as a genre is in a way is a cautionary tale, right?
We're exploring ideas, right?
Yeah, and it's like I think the system that they have here is brilliant, and I think it's good, and I would encourage most adults to give this a try, because this is a reminder of things and how real things are getting, like how really real some things are getting, and this is the warning that beware mega corporations.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a whole sort of philosophy and purpose behind the cyberpunk. It's
in science fiction in general, right?
Right.
Like there's so much has come out of like just exploring that genre in general, and then kind of like stories where you explore like what if we looked at how things turned out this way, where could that lead, and like it explores like just the environment and like the interactions between people, and just like this is such an amazing piece of art.
Ellis L's in the chat. My Russian is a little rusty. I don't really get what you mean there with the Demaster in Cyber is cooler. I'm missing what your connotation is there. So if you can give me a little bit of a different structure to that, I might be able to answer that question.
Yeah, his Google Translate's not quite bringing it, rendering it properly. Russian is rusty, right? Yeah. No, and as far as the adult content goes, I mean, it's an adult game. That's just when it comes to the violence, they're going for a visceral thing.
This scene especially. This scene is so.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip back to the beginning here.
Yeah, because this is really, really rough to watch.
So I mean, it's worth knowing before you go into it what kind of content that you're getting into. Now, like the really extreme stuff, like the romance scenes, let's call them, you can probably avoid for the most part. I
don't know. I remember playing Dragon Age. Was it 2? I think it was 2. I remember playing Dragon Age 2, and the guy was telling me a very sad story about his family and how how sad he was, and I was like, oh man, that's okay. If you need to talk to somebody about it, I'm here for you. And then the next thing I know, I got to see a very interesting scene between a male dwarf and a human. It was something I probably could have done without.
So was it actually like full on animated, or was it?
Yeah, Dragon Age does that. So
okay.
Well, I mean, it's not full on, but it's pretty cool, pretty darn close.
Like Mass Effect style.
Yeah, same creator.
Because this will be, it's going to be way more graphic than Mass Effect. Oh, Mr. Stud ad. Yeah, so speaking of, they're really showcasing the adult content in this particular video. Sorry, there was a Mr. Stud ad on the screen right there.
Yeah, I know.
And now, now citrus drink, yay! Anyway, I mean, we know the one thing to consider, like Saib said earlier too, is that it's all in first person. Like,
Go on. I'll tell you when to pause it.
But yeah, like
because there's significant there's a significant Easter egg here, right? Keep going a little bit more. Right there, good. Stop. There is a significant Easter egg in here. If you can, actually, I think. Oh, good lord! I think that might be 2 or 3. But yeah, if you can spot them again, let me know. This is the fun of what CDPR has been doing. Is that all of these company names? There are so many different company names in this game. But yeah, some of these go way back to 2020. So yeah, cool.
Another question from Right Click Drop Down. Since multiplayer is coming later down the line, do you feel like they will do a GTA type of multiplayer or an FPS, like, for the lack of a better comparison, let's say COD or Titanfall? It's really hard to say. We don't know a ton about it, but I imagine it's going to connect to. We're pretty sure it's going to connect to the story of Cyberpunk 2077. Like, it's going to be lore friendly, and knowing CDPR, I don't think they're just going to do a cut and paste shooter. I think they'll do I think it'll be story driven in some way, shape, or form. But that's speculation because we just don't know anything about it. But we do know something about the guy who's heading up the project, so I don't know if you have more insight on that than I do, Cyb.
Maybe.
Is there anything you can say safely? Like, do we know anything about the multiplayer project? As far as like what the actual content will be.
Well, we can at this point we can guesstimate quite clearly based off of the people that they have running the show. If I bring a Rembrandt styled artist who specializes in the Rembrandt style and duplication, repair, et cetera, and I ask him to make his best artwork that he can muster, I'm going to get something that's most likely going to resemble a Rembrandt, and if you, the same thing is here, where the people that they have been pulling in to lead and run the multiplayer project have been specialized and have been focused on pushing boundaries of what normal PV player versus player and then player, co-op player experiences are like. And then we know that their original vision of the game was to replicate the idea and the concept of having an actual tabletop experience in the Cyberpunk universe. So this is, I think these things are correlating quite strongly. We have the player, we have the creative director that has been brought in to head the multiplayer. He has been he's been creating games that's play focuses on multiplayer. He was a big push. He was pushing really big on this 4v1, and 4v1 was a first attempt at kind of creating a game master type experience in more than one way. Evolve is the only one that really got to market properly, and it was kind of a disaster because it was very, very rudimentary, and it was also really, really, really terribly put together, and there was no depth in the story. It was just search and destroy. So I don't think that is that style concept. Don't think that style content when you think 4v1, because it was always meant to be a bigger thing, and so many companies have bailed on this idea and just not implemented it correctly. And I think that if we're looking for a new genre that can come out that can do, some unique things, having that 1v5, 1v10, 1v100, that concept does, I mean, how cool would it be to have a super powered, let's say Ninja or Asmongold, compete live against 100 of his, best fans, and have this experience where you can co-op the live streaming experience and as well as the party play experience in with this like experience of having this be different. These are the types of games that these creators were working on right up until they joined up with CDPR to head this project. So taking a look at, yeah, we're talking about the multiplayer. So looking at the multiplayer, looking at the leadership, looking at their original goals, I would say that you take those concepts, you put them not into a blender to come up with a new thing, but you take those concepts and they're going to try and build something better out of those base concepts. So we're still working with the same foundation. And the foundation here is going to be interactive multiplayer that focuses on story, interactability, and then the ability to constantly progress something. That seems to be what they were shooting for and what they were trying to create in the previous studios. And these are, like I said, now these are the people who are heading this new studio. And yes, very interesting. The stuff that we have coming down the pipes, I think that they are probably still pretty early on in its conceptual phase, because at most they've started to really get down and work on this in January of this year.
You know what?
So
you know what would be really awesome is an asymmetric game mode: Cyber Psycho versus Psycho Squad.
Well, and this is on the podcast, on the community podcast. This was an idea that we threw around. We threw around this idea, this concept of, perhaps the multiplayer was going to focus around the kind of the original concept that we had shown off, where it was mostly circling this concept of like having a large scale battle royale type game, that's condensed into a 1v team mentality, or a little bit different. We could also see them utilize a lot of the popular mechanics in Grand Theft Auto Online. That's another example that you could get. But judging from who we know is now leading the studio and who is now making these executive decisions, I think we can lean more towards the concept that they're trying to do something that is reminiscent of a tabletop experience at the same time as being clearly chasing the concept of making this a better and better experience. So
yeah. Ali Mafuz, asymmetric, it means there's different numbers of people on each team. It's like if you have one hunter chasing 4 people around a camp, whatever that game is called. Asymmetric multiplayer game.
Mm-hmm.
So Jacob Wolf has
Wolf has
a question.
I'll mention one of these. Sorry, let me get to this first here.
Yeah.
Just on the multiplayer thing. So one of the other concepts that we have heard about and that has been talked about slightly is the concept of the multiplayer also having a heavy focus on gangs and having those gangs do gang-related type activities within the Cyberpunk universe. So this is also something that has been floated around through a handful, gossip really, not sources, but gossip. So again, don't be surprised or shocked in seeing any of these things. I think we can really see some of that, some uniqueness kind of flow in there. Sorry, what was the question now?
Jacob Wolf.
Was, do you know if NPCs' dialogue and story will react to, for example, your fame and or money situation, for example, being a millionaire? And that's also something I'm wondering too, because even there was an earlier comment from Cross Raven about how that guy in the alleyway where female V comes up to him, he makes that comments at her, and V reacts, and just how is it because of the gender, or would he have the same thing to the male?
The video earlier, we're at that part again.
Mm-hmm.
Here, look at Holly. She will she will blast the bad images from your mind with her gigantic eyes. Well, we know a few things about this with regard to Jacob's question. The world will react to your things like your starting path. They will react to your gender, for sure. Some characters will, like that guy in the alleyway. He catcalls female V. Will he do the same to male V? We don't know. Depends on what it is he is into. The NPCs have their established preferences. I'm not supposed to use that word anymore, but there's no other word I can use right in that context. I don't think they have their established. They have what they like. They have their orientation, etc. And there is a stat called street cred, which I think is going to be similar to the cool stat in the tabletop game, but so there will be street cred. You'll have a certain degree of fame-ish type stat that goes along with that. How well people know you, what your reputation's like, that kind of a thing. The world will react to those things. As far as how much money you have, I mean, I have no idea. Someone else pointed out that you're never going to become a millionaire as a cyberpunk, and that's probably very true. But I don't know. It might be if you start out as a corpo, maybe they'll treat you more like a rich guy. Hard to say exactly how it's all going to fall out, but I think there's a lot of the world is going to react in many different ways. Definitely to gender, life path, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
There are places where it's going to matter, things like that. So Fritz Musterman says the next gen graphics have a life to them that the current gen lacks. Agreed. They pop more. They're crisper. Again, a little uncertain about if they're using ray tracing or if it's some other kind of dynamic lighting, but the lighting looks amazing. Also, was that last bit the soul killer virus? Don't know. We don't know. That's been speculated that we were seeing the soul killer at work. It's also been speculated we were seeing other things there. We'll have to... Again, that's, I think, one of those story bits that they cut out the context of that deliberately to avoid spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Lazarus King. Just a random question. Is it possible to go streaking across Night City? Well, I think so.
I think so. If you could go full chrome, why not?
Or even not full chrome. Maybe you're anti-cyberware and anti-clothing. I don't know. Is everybody going to try it? I'm sure they will.
Why the heck not?
I mean, we're gonna have to try that out. I imagine you can. I mean,
dude, can you imagine? Like, sorry, just it made me think of something really funny that Cy was telling me about. What he's done in WoW, where they had like a little naked gnome parade or something, but like streaking in a group in multiplayer. Can you imagine that?
One of the best experiences in an MMO experience is to take part in a naked gnome raid. So naked gnome raid, you get into the game, you make your gnome, you make it as crazy and ridiculous as looking as you can with their hair, and there's really some really awesome options. Then you get together in a group of like 20 to 40 people or more, and you run around in a very small, tight-knit group, and you just run up to random people doing things wherever, and you start to one of the best ones is like we would run up to like a random stranger who was like, we could tell that he or she was like a new kind of player. So they're level like, in their 30s or 40s maybe, or a little less, and we could tell that they were new because they didn't have any like heirlooms or anything like that, and they had probably not very good gear choices, so they're a very relatively new player, and you all surround him, and then you all start bowing to him and going, leader, you must lead us, we are here at your command, what do you want of us? And the reactions that you get from these players is truly a gold mine of hilarity, because you just don't know how to react. So things like that, this is what I'm hoping to have kind of like in Cyberpunk at some point in the future, is that we can have this ability to do wild, crazy, fun things and create our own fun on top of the fun that CDPR gives us, creates for us in the baseline of the game.
Emergent gameplay. I love
the emergent gameplay of having people. One of the best things in APB Reloaded, which was this game, was very much like Grand Theft Auto, is these you had like 60 cars where people would go out and they would find the smallest type car that you could, so like a 2-door small sports car, and those cars would go against one guy driving a bus or a big semi truck, like a garbage hauler or something like that. And so their job was to stop him and damage him. But because of the size and weight of this truck, he could push, clear several of them out at once, make them explode, all this kind of stuff. And this was an emergent gameplay that appeared on the servers for a great time. There's some great videos on YouTube of people doing this. And it was lots and lots of fun. But the company that was running it saw no, like, they just like were like, whatever, we don't care. So they never like fostered this kind of like, community driven content. And so, and I think the game would still be around today if they were more proactive in joining up with concepts from the community. So let's hope that Cyberpunk the CDPR is doing the same thing. Is not doing that, is doing the thing where they're actively engaged with the community. And so far, yes, absolutely, they do appear to be very much, they seem to be very, very much open to that perspective. And this is why they're bringing in the people that they're bringing in, I think, is because they're looking at trying to create a completely new genre when it comes to multiplayer, or really refining the ones that we have existing, and then at the same time being open. And I would say for any multiplayer game, it's like you have to be open to responding to what community is creating, because if you don't, you will be left behind. You will be completely outrun by your competition. And one of the best examples of this is Blizzard with the MOBA experience. The League of Legends, the Dota. This was created by their fans, and for the longest time, Blizzard just snubbed it off as something that they don't care about. And then when they finally realized their mistake, that's when they tried to grab it, and it kind of failed and it kind of bombed. And then when they created, one of the new games, they said, okay, guys, whatever you create belongs to us. And now you have that platform in that game is littered with the worst, most vile things you could possibly find. Why? Because Blizzard Activision said, whatever you create belongs to us. It's our product. We can do whatever we want with it. If you come up with a game idea, we can take that game idea, we can market it, we can make a new game out of that, and you can't say nothing. You give up all your rights to it. So yeah, congratulations. And mini rant for today. I know some people were asking for a rant. That's my rant. Mm-hmm. It's like, if you're creating a multiplayer game and you're building this on top of a community of players, and the community of players is asking for something, give it to them. For crying out loud, just give it to them. Like, don't be stupid. So many companies, some of the dumbest stuff they've ever done is they've gone, okay, well, I'm going to do this now, and then they just flat out refuse to interact with this at all. On a baseline level, it's shocking and disturbing that they don't see that, oh, look, this is something that we can grow our community with. For some games, modding, it's a lifeblood of the game. And in other games, players say, hey, can we mod the game? and the company will send goons to their house to like shut them down and threaten them with lawsuits because they want to add a freaking horse to the game, or they want to add a Thomas the Train thing to the game. It's like, come on, guys! Like this is the internet. You think you're going to control the internet? You think you're going to control nerds? Good luck with that, man. Good luck with that. If certain mega governments and corporations can't do that, what in the holy blankety blank do you think your hope of doing that is going to be? Like, seriously, good God. But yeah, no, I think these guys are actively looking to kind of take and react to the experience that players are wanting to create, which is why they pulled in the people that they pulled in to work on this. So I have very high hopes for the multiplayer. And the best thing that you can do is once you get into the game, you follow in with the community and you follow in with the people that are making this stuff, and you make your voice heard when it comes to content that you find interesting. If you like the concept that somebody's come up with in a stream one day, you follow that, you boost it, you signal boost it, and then you keep boosting it, and you keep saying, hey, this is a good product, this is a good thing, and get those people to kind of react to that. So
All right. Josie JOK says an Aussie streamer who got early access clip tried the streaking thing, and he got some angry reactions from NPCs and then shot by the NCPD. I wonder if that's like, obviously we can't see footage of that. It seems like an extreme reaction, but they are, I mean, Night City cops, I think, are not exactly wholesome people either. Fritz Musterman says, thanks for the response. Another good random question. Can we romance Adam Smasher? If not, can somebody mod that into the game? Who doesn't want to smash Adam Smasher? Well, you're going to have to fight Lady Reaver for him. But we don't know. Like, we have no idea who you can romance, who you can't, except for, I think Judy Alvarez is confirmed. A couple others are confirmed, possibly. I just don't remember off the top of my head. Smasher, don't know. But if you are curious about romance, and if you haven't seen our romanceable tier list, our romanceable NPC tier list for Cyberpunk 2077, 2 parts to that video out now, and it was we took community submissions about who they wanted to see as romanceable in the game, made some funny videos out of it. Check it out on our channel, the Triple S League. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and of course slam the like button on this live stream if you appreciate this content and are appreciating what we have to say and the interaction with the community. We are very community focused here, and so we've got a pretty active Discord server. Lots of great members there. We keep it very we keep it very non-toxic, but making sure it's a fun place where we don't allow discussion of politics or controversial, super negative things, except in one specific area that you don't have to look at if you don't want to. Other than that, we keep it on the level, all about gaming and fandoms and whatever you want to talk about. I mean, we have a food room. We've got a book room. Somebody started a book club there. So there's a book club that meets weekly, and they're reading The Expanse right now.
It's really, really good, and definitely a very good sci-fi series, and our community is really pulling together. If you have been feeling like your community engagement has been really low over these past few months because of stuff going on in the world, and if you really feel like you want to reach out and get something, try and get something, as far as community, a little bit more, community driven stuff. If you want to do that, then please hop on by. We are an open community that's interested in getting more people.
Yeah.
And help get through this, because, well, if you read the news today, things are going to get pretty bad over the next couple months, and the best thing you can do in this time is to come together and hopefully get things to be better.
Exactly. And like even earlier today, there were people streaming Valhalla. Saib has been streaming WoW on there, and I'm going to be joining as well. And yeah, just there's a lot of fun stuff, fun times to be had.
Yeah, if you guys are excited about the World of Warcraft expansion coming out in less than a week now, or it's exactly a week from today. Um, if you guys are interested in that and interested in some of the tomfoolery we can get up to, it's very casual. We're mostly just doing it for funsies, except for when I PvP, in which case it's all or nothing, baby. We're gonna win. We're gonna win no matter what.
So Rob Jones says, "What did Triple S League? What did you make of the Series X gameplay?" I mean, well, we've talked about it fairly in depth already, but it looks really good, and it's not even the next gen version yet. Like, there's going to be an upgraded next gen version coming out. That next gen console owners will get for free if you purchase if you purchase it at launch. When the next gen version comes out, they just give that to you, basically. So it's, I mean, it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, the animation is great. The characters look good.
I love all the movement of like just the little bits of body language that they have, right? As they like move through the screen. It's so lifelike.
And I think it's kind of a subtle thing that makes a humongous difference. And
humongous. Like, even look at that shoulder shrug.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
So they used an AI system, the Jali system, for the facial animation and head movement and stuff. It's just so much good stuff. Oh, Fritz Musterman asks a big question. What are your thoughts about the nature of the soul in Cyberpunk? Is Johnny Silverhand dead? Is what we see a copy, or is it him? Well, I mean,
this is a good question. We got into this a little bit on the last podcast when talking with Jay from Artel Saurian Games about how he and Mike Pondsmith view AI's souls and the AI system. We're going to this is a subject that I want to get into a lot more, because it's such a fascinating concept to talk about and really dive deep into. Like, you have no idea how much I love talking about this subject of like getting into this stuff. One of the things that I really believe, honestly, is that we are going to see at some point in the future, and we don't know how long it is, but I suspect one of the very first AIs, true AIs, that we are going to have, not a VI, not a virtual assistant, not anything like that, but an actual true AI. I think one of the first things we're going to see from them is we're going to see things that scientists do not expect. Period. And this is one of the best concepts and ideas. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I agree that it's not going to look quite like we're anticipating. My question is, how do you determine if it's really an AI or if it's just such a good mimicry of an AI? Like, and how would you determine if it's sentient or not? Like, there's so many questions that are really fun to dive into and that just don't have easy answers. Anyway, I mean, Discord server is a great place for that conversation. Hit up Cyb to talk about that. We don't want to get heavy into the religion side of things, but that's definitely an appropriate topic for the Discord server. I'm not saying you can't talk about religion too. Just, we don't want to get into a ton of,
we digress.
Arguing and stuff like that, making it unpleasant for newcomers, that kind of thing. But you can talk about most things for sure. Opening a Pandora's box, Turing test. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know that the Turing test would apply to true AI, because, well, I'll just leave it there for now. All right. Anything else we've gone longer than we expected to here.
Yeah.
Lots of viewers today. Thank you all for joining us, especially if you're new to the channel.
We've kind of caught up with the news that we're going to be covering on this. So again, if you guys are interested in our joining our community and get more involved, we're gonna be really hitting Cyberpunk hard as soon as it comes out, of course. But yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, and it's really awesome to see all of you so active in the chat. Don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content.
Absolutely that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I guess we'll wrap up here. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today, and we have our regular podcast happening tomorrow, I believe, unless sometimes we do put that off in preparation for the Night City Wire on Thursdays. But Saib, you think we'll go ahead with the regular podcast tomorrow as well?
Oh yes,
okay. Okay, so regular podcast tomorrow happens at.
We're going to be talking tomorrow. We're going to be talking about potential merger, some serious gossip and rumors that we've had going around about this potential buyout of a major. We're talking of one of the biggest, oldest gaming companies in Japan might be bought out by Microsoft here. So, that's going to be
they're just gonna try to own everything Sony doesn't. Maybe.
Maybe.
Almost seems like it. Yeah. And then, of course, Night City Wire, we'll do live coverage on Thursday of that. Then on Saturday, our other regular podcast of the week. It's going to be a busy week. So, yeah, slam that sub button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to get notified when we're live and when we release content, because we've got some other content, working on some videos for Cyberpunk Red too. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining. We'll leave it there for now. Thanks again. We will talk to you all again very soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.